Would you ever sign a contract with a coach entitling them to a percentage of your business's total revenue for an entire year or however long you're working with them? Let me know in the comments because I'm very, very curious. You see, about a month ago, I received this message on Instagram. It says, have you ever done content about revenue sharing? Like when a coach charges you for their base package and you owe them 10% of your new revenue over the coaching period. Now, I saw this message and my jaw was immediately on the floor.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And listen, I'm a business owner. I am totally familiar with the concept of revenue sharing, particularly when it comes to things like affiliate marketing or even talent management or commission if you work a job in sales. But when I learned that this was happening specifically in the coaching industry, my alarm bells started ringing. Because when I see coaches switching from a flat fee to a percentage based performance model, where the client is then essentially forever indebted to the coach so long as they're working together, I have a few questions. And so today we're going to discuss what exactly this means, whether or not I believe it's ethical, whether or not I think it's sustainable, or if it's just yet another predatory business model designed so that the coach can work less and earn more money. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, revenue sharing in a traditional sense is typically a business arrangement wherein two or more parties agree to split proportions of the income relative to contributions or performance. So, as a bit of a personal example, I suppose, when I'm not busy yapping over here on YouTube, I'm actually a little bit of an influencer over on TikTok. And so, occasionally over there on that app, I will make sponsored content that I post to my channel. And so, last year, I was approached by a talent management agency who wanted to help assist me in my sponsored content. And so basically how it would work is they would pitch me to brands, and any brand deals that they brought in, they would be entitled to 30% of the revenue. So if a brand was going to pay me $1,000 for a TikTok video, I would get $700 and the management company would get $300. And the idea here is that they are the ones doing all of the legwork. They're out pitching me to brands, they're negotiating the contracts, they're dealing with the emails. And so the 30% that I would be giving them would be in exchange for the hard work that they have done. Now, just as an aside, I didn't go with a talent management agency. I'm not at a big enough size that I really feel that it's necessary. But I do think that this kind of demonstrates how a revenue sharing model could make sense. Essentially, the idea is that they only get paid if they do the work of finding someone to pay me. And so their income is directly tied to the results that they are able to produce. Similarly, in sales, if you work on a sales team, you might get 10% commission from every sale that you successfully close. Your income is proportionate to your effort. But now, what I think is happening is that some business coaches are taking a business model that makes sense and warping it for their own benefit. So let's take a look. So as I mentioned in the intro, it appears as though some coaches are no longer just charging a flat fee for their services. Instead, what they're doing is they're stacking a revenue share agreement on top of that base price. So what that means is as the client, you're paying your upfront base fee just like you normally would. So in this example here, one coach is charging $1,250 a month, and then the other one is charging $1,750 a month. And then in addition to that base rate, you're basically paying an additional 10% of any new revenue your business generates while you are working with that coach. But to me, I think the real kicker here is that it doesn't really seem from the offers that I've seen that there's any way to measure that growth is a direct result of the coaching. And so in many cases, it doesn't really matter if the coaching actually helped at all. Because I mean, first of all, that is incredibly subjective. And how would you even be able to quantify or measure that? But regardless of whether or not we can figure that out, the coach wants to receive a set percentage of your revenue for the duration of your coaching contract, even from offers that they maybe had nothing to do with. Anyway, the way I see it is you're essentially just agreeing to forfeit 10% of your revenue no matter what. Like, I'm just thinking about this in the context of business. There have been many times where I will like randomly get an idea of like, oh, I should sell this thing or I should create this offer. And then I go ahead and I put it into fruition. So let's just say you're working with a coach, and outside of you and that coach having a conversation, you come up with your own idea for a new product, a new service, a new offer, and you decide you're going to launch it and it becomes wildly successful. Suddenly, you are now indebted to handing over 10% of the revenue from that new offer to the coach, even though they had no role in your ability to execute and create that success. success. And I just want to contrast this to something like an affiliate model. So let's just say that there's a software I use and I recommend it to you and you decide to sign up for it. I might get a kickback from your subscription as a result of me directly telling you to buy that software. In that circumstance, you can directly equate the fact that I was the one that told you to buy the software. I gave you my link with my affiliate name on it. You made the purchase. The credit goes to me for sort of making that sale. When we talk about performance-based revenue sharing and coaching, it feels a lot less tangible and a lot less measurable. And so for me personally, that's where this model really starts to feel a little bit off. Because now we're not really talking about a results-driven, mutually beneficial partnership. We're basically just talking about a contract where I'm obligated to give you a slice of my success, regardless of whether or not you actually contributed to it. And I mean, if any of you own businesses, in the comments, you can chime in. 10% might not sound like a bunch of money, but when you're running your own business, especially in the beginning, and you're just trying to stay afloat, 10% can be the difference between being able to reinvest in growing your business or being able to pay your bills. The whole thing just leaves me with so many questions. Okay, so here's where things get really murky for me. And I took this directly from the sales copy on one of these sales pages. It reads as follows. Revenue share applies to all new revenue brought into the business, not just new revenue for one offer in the business. This includes revenue from the specific offer we're working on, as well as any other offers you sell during our time working together. So all new revenue, not just the offer that the coach is helping you work on. That for me is a huge red flag, because basically what they're saying here is,
if you make money, even if I had nothing to do with it, I want my 10%.
I'm sorry, what? If I decide to change the entire direction of my business and launch something completely new without your assistance, you're telling me that I now still owe you 10% of the revenue? No, thank you. It then continues. The goal of our partnership is to support you in all aspects of your business. I look at the business holistically. It's almost impossible to only work on one offer. We're typically working on offers, messaging, content, business models, etc., and all of it fits together. We may be more focused on one specifically at the moment, but joining the strategic advisory level is an invitation for my clients to see me as a support/resource for the entire business versus just a small segment of it. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. Maybe I'm just jaded from the absurd amount of content that I've read and watched in this industry. But to me, this reads like,
there are no clear boundaries or definitions because I want to be able to take credit on anything and everything that you do while we work together.
Again, to me, this is not performance-based. This is not commission. This is not an affiliate model. This is simply someone saying,
well, I was in the room when you grew your business, so therefore I'm entitled to a cut.
I don't see a clear way that you would be able to measure the coach's contribution to your success. Not to mention that, again, if you're a business owner, you might be familiar with this, but oftentimes you're growing your business through multiple different avenues at the same time. So maybe you're working on building out different offers while you're also running ads on Facebook, and maybe you have some more free time, you're showing up more in your business, and you're doing all of these different things, and yet your coach is entitled to 10% of that growth, regardless of where the growth is coming from or what action actually attributed to that growth. They don't need to prove an ROI. They don't even need to verify that it's a result of their work. They just literally need to be around when it happens. It doesn't make any sense to me. And look, I am all for paying people for their valuable support in your business, but this model just feels so backwards to me. This is some more copy from another coach's website who's offering the same kind of setup. It says, a model where we both win. When you grow, I grow. When you succeed, I succeed. Because this isn't just about landing more clients or launching another offer. This is about building a business that grows with you, one you can sustain, scale, and actually love for years to come. Okay, so basically the coach has zero risk in this scenario, and they benefit from you being the one that takes on the risk. Think about it like this. If I compare this model to something like venture capital, for example, you have this business idea, You pitch yourself to an investor. That investor decides to give you money, and for the money that they give you, they in exchange get equity in your business. That investor, while they sure may receive an eventual kickback, they are giving you the money. They are taking the risk. They are putting money into your business with the hopes that one day they're going to get it back tenfold, 100-fold, whatever. And also, to be clear here, equity is not revenue. So if I get an investor to invest in my business and I make $1 million and they own 10% of the equity, they don't get $100,000. They own 10% of the evaluation of the business. And in the event that I were to then sell the business to someone else or go public or pay out dividends, then they would be able to claim that 10%. I cannot imagine trying to build a serious business while also having to pay someone 10% of my total revenue. And that's the reason why I think this feels so backwards to me, because in the case with this coaching setup, you are essentially paying someone money to then in the future be obligated to pay them even more money. You're the one paying them up front. And then if your business succeeds, they still get a percentage cut, even though they didn't fund anything initially. There was literally zero risk for them to get involved in your revenue. I'm sorry, in what world does this make sense? What am I missing here? Someone, please help. To me, this is yet another example of the coaching industry taking a legitimate and proven business structure and then manipulating it for their own personal gain. Now, to be totally fair, I can see why this business model would appeal to some people. In theory, a structure like this might help to align the incentives, if you will. I mean, in an industry that is riddled with people paying tons and tons of money to then only end up getting ghosted or left out to dry, this might incentivize the coach to actually do their job because, as it said earlier, the coach only wins if you win. In fact, this is from one of these coaches' websites. It says, a true partner in your business, not just a coach who collects a paycheck, but one who's invested in your success the way you are. I don't just talk about results, I share in them. So in that sense, it might feel like more of a collaboration than a traditional coaching relationship. But like, shouldn't an ethical coach already be invested in your success regardless? Like, isn't that why you're paying them money at all? I'm just saying, in my very small effort to not just be a giant internet hater troll, I can see how maybe potentially for a newer entrepreneur, particularly one that's set on hiring a coach, and maybe they're nervous about, making that big upfront investment as they should be, this kind of structure might seem more approachable or more manageable or less intimidating. But again, that's all in theory. Because to me, for the reasons I've already mentioned, this feels a lot less like a partnership and a lot more like a payday loan with a cheerleader attached to it. And just because I'm sure there will be people in the comments that are curious about this, of the particular programs I looked at, one did offer the option to actually opt out of the revenue share and just pay a flat rate of $25,000 for 6 months, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then that same coach actually put a cap on what their cut of the revenue share would be. And so basically they said that if you make over $150,000 in 1 month, you wouldn't have to pay them more than $15,000. I mean, that's still a hefty chunk of change, if you will, but at least it shows some consideration for scale, I guess. I don't know. I still really do not like this one bit. So, where exactly does this leave us? To me, this revenue sharing model really feels like a one-sided deal. As the client, you are taking on the financial risk of investing in the coach in the first place. And then you're giving away a portion of your upside without any guarantee of return. Personally, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Again, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but isn't the point of coaching that it's supposed to support your growth, not slowly siphon away from it? Let me know what you think. Have you ever encountered this revenue sharing sort of structure in any coaching agreement that you've signed? Would you ever consider signing one? Or do you think that this is just yet another way that the online business space has become more and more predatory? Let's have a chat in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. I want to give a big thank you to our channel supporters, our members. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Take care, comb your hair, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!